Hey guys, welcome to another online math class. This video will be about time series data, and by the end of this lesson we should know what time series data are, be able to plot a time series graph, and finally be able to describe the trend in a time series plot. Let's just pause the video here and take a couple of minutes to write these down. So starting off with what time series data is, a time series is a sequence of data values that are recorded at regular time intervals. Some common examples of time series data include the temperature recorded every hour, population recorded every year, or maybe even the profit recorded every month. Let's just write that definition down along with the examples. You'll often see a line graph used to represent this data because this helps us describe trends and also make future predictions. Right, now we're going to have a look at the key features of a time series graph. And on the right here is what a typical one might look like. So the main point of this is that time is always on the horizontal axis, going left to right. And this is also known as the independent variable. Once you've plotted all the points, you'll also need to connect the points with a line. And our last main point is that the remaining variable, or otherwise known as the dependent variable, will always be on the y-axis there, going up and down. So once again, key points, time on the horizontal, the other variable going up and down on the vertical, and make sure all the dots are connected with a line there. Once you've created your graph, or once you're given a graph, you'll also need to be able to describe the trends in a graph. So when describing trends, the first thing you look for is how straight the line is. If it looks roughly like a straight line, we call that a linear trend. So notice the graph on the right, it's kind of a straight line. It's not completely straight though, but it's straight enough for us to call it a linear. The ones that aren't linear will often look like a curve. So sometimes it'll look like that, or it might look like going down like that. But in this case, we don't see a curve, and it's approximately a straight line like so. Next thing we look for is whether it is an upward trend or a downward trend. So if the line goes up from left to right or has a positive gradient, we say it has an upward trend, and if it goes down from left to right or has a negative gradient, we say it has a downward trend. So the graph on the right here, the full description will be downward linear trend. Alright, let's have a go at putting all this together and start by creating our own time series plot. So we've got a bunch of data here. We've got the time in 1 year intervals, and we've also got the population for that as well. And this is for 16 years starting at 1990. Our first thing we need to do is start off by creating our axes. So remember, time goes on the horizontal and our remaining variables, so in this case population, will go on the vertical. When drawing the axes, we need to include the 0 there, but we won't have any data from anywhere in between 0 to about 700 to 750, as you can see in that data. So we're going to break the axes there like so, just so we can start off at 700 and we don't have a massive gap in between 0 to 700. So let's have a go at plotting these down. At 1990, we have 1,300 people. So our first plot is going to be right there. Our next one is at 1991. So I'm going to draw it in the next part. So 1991, it is 1,250 people. So that's going to be right there. At 1992, we've also got 1,250. So I'll draw a dot right next to it. And I think you guys get the idea. So I'll have all the dots completed right there. That's all the dots done. Once we've got the dots, there's one more thing we need to do, is connect all the dots with a line. So just get a ruler and connect all the dots with a line. I don't have a ruler, so sorry about the wonky lines. And there we go, that's a completed version of the graph for you. Once we've got the graph, we now need to describe the trend. So having a look, we can see that the graph starts off by going down from left to right to about there, and then it starts going up from about there. So here we can say for the first 10 years, the population has a downward trend, whilst in the last 6 years, it has a slight upwards trend. Alright, now it's your turn. Pause the video here, have a go at this one yourself, and just unpause it when you're ready to go through it with me. So once again, for this one, you need to start off with the axes. The axes, make sure you have the time on the horizontal and your week, or your price, sorry, on the vertical. Once you've completed the graph, it should look something like that there. Now to describe the trend. So we can see this graph goes up from left to right and is relatively straight, like so. So we're going to say it has a upwards linear trend. Alright, so that brings us to the end of this video. Thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys all back online.